The movie begins with Sam, a children's book author, reading from his latest work, Chloe the Mermaid. However, his only audience is his friend, Marshall. After the reading, the two hurriedly drive off for a weekend trip, though Marshall isn't sure why they are in such a rush. During the drive, Sam explains that the trip is meant to help them reconnect, since they haven't seen each other in nearly a year. However, his jittery behavior suggests there may be more to the trip than he's letting on. When they arrive at their hotel, they quickly notice several issues with their room, prompting Sam to call the receptionist. While Marshall just wants to relax, Sam insists they head to the pool. At the pool, Sam still isn't relaxed and keeps scanning the area with his binoculars, as if looking for something. He eventually spots a group of people having a party and suggests to Marshall that they crash it. Marshall is hesitant, pointing out that they don't know anyone there and questioning why they would want to join a party full of old people. Sam insists they can blend in, adding that it could be a good opportunity for Marshall to socialize after spending nearly a year at his parents' house without going out since his job fell through. Reluctantly, Marshall agrees, and they head back to change into more suitable clothes. Instead of entering through the front, Sam leads them through a bushy area, where they stumble upon a man staring out at the ocean. Sam approaches the man, curious why he stepped away from the party, but it quickly becomes clear that he's had a few too many drinks. Eventually, the man takes them both to the party before leaving them to mingle. Sam leads Marshall to a small group and effortlessly joins their conversation, introducing himself and Marshall. The conversation flows naturally, but Sam's attention is quickly diverted when he spots the love of his life, Zoe. Surprised to see him, Zoe immediately walks over and pulls him aside. She demands to know why he's there, and Sam explains that he was invited by her brother, Teddy. He turns out to be the same man they had seen staring at the ocean earlier. However, Zoe isn't pleased to see him and urges him to leave, asking if he didn't get the postcard she sent. Sam suggests they grab a drink to talk, but Zoe refuses. Just then, her fiancé Whit interrupts, trying to pull her away for some pictures. Noticing Sam, he looks confused, prompting Sam to properly introduce himself. Whit is surprised to meet the famous Sam Zoe has told him about and pulls him into a bear hug. He wonders why she never mentioned inviting him, but Zoe quickly clarifies that she didn't. Besides, Sam won't be staying long. When Whit learns that Sam is staying in a rundown hotel nearby, he insists that Sam move into the house instead. Zoe tries to object, but Whit silences her with a kiss, insisting it will be fun. The more, the merrier, right? He then shares that he and Zoe are getting married that weekend, and that it's also his birthday. Sam already knows this from the postcard Zoe sent, but forces a smile, faking excitement over the news. Afterward, Sam tells Marshall about the invitation to stay at the house. Curious, Marshall asks who Zoe is, but Sam downplays it, calling her a friend of a friend he hasn't known for long. Marshall hesitates, worried that staying at the house will disrupt their bonding plans, unaware that Sam's real reason for the trip is Zoe, not reconnecting. Eventually, Sam convinces him, and they move in, with Teddy leading them to their room. That evening, a dinner party is held, where Whit gives a heartfelt speech about his love for Zoe before sealing it with a kiss. Sam, feeling a pang of sadness, decides to give his own speech. Sam thanks Whit for letting them stay, raises a toast to the couple, and remarks that Whit is a lucky man to have Zoe. However, he suddenly excuses himself from the table, leaving everyone surprised. Later, Marshall finds Sam puking and wonders what's wrong. Sam assures him he's fine, blaming it on drinking on an empty stomach. Still, Marshall grows more curious about Sam's connection to Zoe and how the situation mirrors Sam's book, but Sam avoids telling the truth. When they return to the party, Whit is already showing a film he made while in Africa. However, when an intimate scene of him with an African woman plays, Zoe quietly excuses herself. Sam sees her approaching and quickly pulls her into a closet, pressing an intense kiss to her lips. But Zoe pulls away and slaps him hard across the face. Frustrated by his presence, she demands to know what he wants. Sam confesses he's there to win her back, but Zoe shuts him down. She's getting married in 2 days, for crying out loud. She's always been engaged, and Sam knew it. In his defense, he never truly believed she would go through with the engagement. Zoe admits that Whit planned their wedding around his birthday weekend, since everyone was already gathered. Well, that doesn't sound right at all. Sam is appalled, but Zoe insists he's being childish. She begs him to go home, but Sam refuses to leave. Realizing she won't change his mind, she sighs and walks out, returning to Whit. Sam returns to the party and is surprised to see that Teddy has roped Marshall into taking a pill. Wanting to forget his own troubles, Sam takes one too, and soon, they're all having fun. However, when he spots Zoe and Whit passionately kissing, a wave of sadness washes over him. Seeking distraction, he approaches Margaret, one of the bridesmaids, who sits alone looking just as down. Though initially reserved, Margaret eventually loosens up, and they enjoy each other's company. As they slip away for a private moment, Zoe takes notice and seems a little jealous. Later, back in the room, Sam gets an unexpected visit from Zoe, who admits she can't sleep. Seizing the opportunity, he quickly urges Marshall to take a bath, giving them some private time together. Zoe comments on his time with Margaret, prompting Sam to tease her about being jealous. She quickly changes the subject when she spots his new book and curiously flips through it. Though unfinished, Sam gives her a synopsis, and it exactly mirrors his real-life mission at the wedding. Zoe admits she's struggling with her vows and asks for his help as a writer. Though hesitant, Sam eventually agrees and starts by asking what she loves about Whit. But the more she lists, the stranger it sounds to him. Eventually, he points out that she's just looking for someone to take care of her for the next 50 years. Annoyed, Zoe pushes back, but Sam is ready to say whatever he can to win her back. Finally, she confesses that she misses him. Emboldened, Sam leans in for a kiss. One thing leads to another, and they end up sharing a passionate night together. The next morning, Sam checks on Marshall, who, hilariously, spent the night in the bathtub. Groggy and confused, Marshall questions why Zoe was in their room when she's getting married. To cover his tracks, Sam makes up a story, claiming Zoe is having second thoughts about the wedding, and that, as her friend, he needs to stay until she figures things out. Wanting to avoid further questions, Sam quickly heads out for breakfast. Outside in the yard, Margaret and another bridesmaid, Esme, are curious about Zoe's connection to Sam. Zoe brushes him off as just a friend who happens to be a writer. Esme, however, suspects they've had a past, but Zoe denies it, shifting the attention to Margaret. But things didn't go as expected. Margaret reveals that her time with Sam took a weird turn when he started crying because the girl he loves had broken his heart. Speaking of the culprit, Sam stops by the table and greets the ladies. He surprises Zoe with a custom beaded necklace bearing her name, which clearly touches her. Just then, Whit joins them and is curious about Zoe's whereabouts the previous night. Keeping a straight face, she calmly replies that she couldn't sleep and spent the time working on her vows. Satisfied, Whit kisses her before inviting Sam to join him at the beach, insisting it'll be fun. Meanwhile, back in the room, Marshall stumbles upon the postcard Zoe sent Sam, explicitly telling him not to come to the wedding. As if that's not enough, he also finds an engagement ring hidden in Sam's case. Guess the cat is finally out of the bag. Devastated by the lies, Marshall's mood darkens. Later, while walking along the beach, still lost in thought, he accidentally steps on a broken glass bottle and collapses in pain. Zoe immediately rushes to his aid. After tending to his foot, Marshall curiously asks Zoe how she met Sam. She opens up, revealing that she was already with Whit when she met Sam, and they became pen pals. However, she's stunned when Marshall mentions that Sam brought an engagement ring to propose to her. Overwhelmed, she quickly leaves to catch her breath. Later, Whit suggests a game of a three-legged paper chase, and despite Marshall's injured foot, Sam ropes him into participating. Obsessed with winning, Sam ignores Marshall's struggles, pushing him past his limit. Frustrated, Marshall finally snaps. He calls out Sam for all his lies and deception, declaring that he's leaving the house before storming off. As he reaches the other side of the beach, Marshall searches for Teddy to retrieve his shoes, but instead he spots Teddy struggling in the ocean, drowning. Without hesitation, Marshall dives in, shouting for help while he pulls Teddy to shore. As soon as they reach land, everyone rushes over in alarm, with Zoe devastated to see her brother unconscious. Whit immediately takes control of the situation, administering CPR. After a tense moment, Teddy finally regains consciousness, coughing up water. Overwhelmed with relief, Zoe nearly collapses, realizing how close she was to losing him. Sam tries to comfort her, but she shuts him down and walks away, unable to deal with him. Moments later, she breaks down crying, and Whit is there to hold her, whispering reassurances. Feeling guilty, she apologizes, but Whit simply focuses on comforting her. Afterwards, Sam desperately tries to convince Marshall to stay, but Marshall's mind is made up. He refuses to let Sam use him any longer, especially knowing he's already struggling after losing his job. Frustrated, Sam snaps at Marshall, tired of his self-pity. He reminds him that he's not the only one with misfortunes, and accuses him of using his struggles as an excuse to avoid moving forward. Sam even claims Marshall should be grateful for the adventure he's been given. Marshall, however, sees it differently. He coldly tells Sam that he's a terrible writer, striking a nerve. Tensions rise, and their argument escalates into a scuffle. Marshall throws a sharp jab, hitting Sam square in the nose and sending him to the ground. Filled with disappointment and hurt, Marshall gets into his car and drives away, leaving Sam behind. The next morning, unaware that Zoe is standing nearby, Sam pours his heart out to adore, confessing his feelings. Zoe finally speaks up and suggests they take a walk. As they stroll, Sam urges her not to marry Whit, insisting it isn't right. But Zoe, firm in her decision, reassures him that she's okay with it. Sam can't come to terms with this and threatens to expose their relationship. However, he is shocked when Zoe reveals that Whit already knows. Confused, Sam asks why Whit still allowed him to stay, and Zoe explains that it's because Whit truly loves her. Whit doesn't see Sam as a threat because he trusts Zoe to make the right decision about her future. Frustrated, Sam insists that what they have is real love. However, Zoe challenges him, asking how they would build a future together when his writing career is unsuccessful. Left speechless, Sam watches as Zoe sadly tells him she can't be his before walking away, leaving him overwhelmed with emotion. At 23, he is much younger than Zoe and doesn't even have his life figured out yet. Back at the house, Sam watches the wedding preparations from the window, his heart heavy with sadness. Teddy stops by and tries to comfort him. Teddy urges Sam to let go and focus on his future, reminding him that he's still young. He pulls Sam into a warm embrace and returns Marshall's shoes, asking Sam to thank Marshall for saving him. The ceremony is beautifully decorated, a perfect setting for the occasion. However, Sam doesn't stay to witness it. Instead, he writes a letter and quietly leaves. Meanwhile, as Zoe hurries down the hallway for her entrance, she realizes she doesn't have her vows. Just in time, Esme hands her an envelope, and they all prepare for the wedding march. Out on the road, Sam, carrying his case, is surprised to see Marshall driving back for him. Sam gets into the car and immediately offers a heartfelt apology. Marshall reveals that Sam has been a bad friend and has said things he can't take back. Sam fully admits to it, genuinely sorry for everything. He confesses that he hasn't been taking his life seriously and is finally realizing he hasn't been honest with himself. Overcome with emotion, he decides to start seeing Marshall's therapist to get his life back on track. Marshall agrees it's a good idea before driving them away. Meanwhile, as Zoe prepares to read her vows, she opens the envelope, only to find Sam's postcard and a letter explaining why she should marry Whit instead of him. This leaves her feeling overwhelmed and unexpectedly heartbroken. Maybe she truly does have feelings for Sam after all.